Welcome to Chaotic Harmony. My name is John.
This is Crystal.
I'm Marc.
I'm Zoe.
We talk about the joys and the challenges of teaching music in the elementary school classroom. We share inspiration, we share struggles, we brainstorm solutions. We would love to have you join us. We're going to spend this episode focusing on my dear friend John.
Why, thank you, Crystal.
So, John, thanks for coming.
Of course.
So we're going to get right into it. John, give us your program notes.
Program notes. I am John Seligman. As mentioned earlier, I teach down at Casillas Elementary down in Chula Vista. It's just a little bit east of the 805. I've been teaching general music as well as after-school choirs, and my second year I started teaching a concert band during school hours thanks to the VH1 Save the Music grant. And every year I try to implement something different. Ukuleles this year finally got Orff instruments, which is nice.
Yay.
Made a huge difference. Bucket drumming for life as well. Yeah.
Okay. So when you first got your job at Casillas, did you have any instruments?
There were some boom whackers in the shed.
Okay.
Yes.
But that's what we were working with. How long was that the situation?
That was the situation for... I had the PTA. The PTA was kind enough to fund a bunch of recorders, so I had 3rd and 4th grade use that. I also bought a bunch of donated from Home Depot a bunch of buckets and a few trash cans as well. So try to create a bucket drumming situation going on.
Okay.
But that was it for the entire first year. Yeah.
Great. Hey, side note on buckets. So when I first got my job at Juarez Lincoln, I had a substitute teacher who was really excited about music class. I had no idea who this guy was. But
Still don't?
No, I met him.
Okay.
He really enjoyed substitute teaching for music.
Cool.
His night job is the janitor for Chick-fil-A, and he told me that if I needed more buckets, because he saw my pile of buckets, that's what pickles come in at Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
And so they just have the buckets, so he saved them for me. They smell like pickles.
Naturally.
So I spent a good week spreading them out in the garden, the buckets, and bleaching them and letting them sit in the sun. But hey, side tip for anybody who needs some buckets for bucket drumming, as long as you're okay with de-pickle scenting them, you can get yourself some buckets from Chick-fil-A.
The thing is, Home Depot is pretty decent. I mean, I'm not being sponsored by any means, but in the same sense, they're pretty decent as far as giving items if you ask for it. I asked for the buckets and also trash cans, but the thing is, they helped your school out because they built the garden and such that same year, and so that specific Home Depot says, hey, we can give you buckets, trash cans, we can give you a couple, but yeah. That's
really cool. So did you write them a letter or did you just show up?
I had a letter from my principal and I just had them look at it.
There you go. Wow. Go ask Home Depot, and then you don't have to de-pickle scent your buckets.
Or you can get the pickled buckets as well and place that on. Never mind. Okay. This is going in a bad direction, so I'm going to stop.
Really sorry. I completely derailed your story.
No worries.
Okay,
fine.
So let's go back to John. Okay, so you've been at Casillas for a few years now, and we were just saying this is your 4. Yeah. Have you been full-time the whole time?
I have been blessed. This is my 4th year full-time, yes.
That's wonderful. Okay.
Yeah. Funny story, actually, when I was hired at Casillas, I had the choice between choosing that place or actually being split between 2 schools. I was entirely ignorant of the fact how difficult having 2 schools were. Those 2 schools had the VH1 Save the Music grant already. And so I was debating whether or not to choose those 2 schools or choose Casillas, but the community of Casillas really drew me in, and I'm glad because also it's full-time. As opposed to just split. Yeah,
definitely. No, one full-time school, totally better. So how long was it until you got the VH1 Save the Music grant?
The following year, we got the VH1 Save the Music grant. And actually, that's the reason why my principal at the time had me full-time. We have 2 other VAPA teachers for art and also dance, but I'm the only full-time VAPA teacher there because the VH1 Save the Music grant requires having a full-time teacher there.
Full-time.
So she planned that.
How neat that you had that before.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's really neat that you had a principal who was on board with that vision and ready to lead into it. So tell me about your kids. What are your kids at Casillas like?
What are they like?
Yeah, what are their backgrounds, socioeconomic, makeup?
It's an interesting... we are a Title I school, but not a fully Title I school. I don't know how that works exactly. There's some sort of mathematical ratio that they plug in numbers and such. But Yeah, we definitely have students of lower income. We also have students that are of better off income. It's a weird mix. We also have naval kids that come in and out. We are also an overflow school. We're also a school that the numbers get smaller and smaller every year, which is really affects, because I love the school and that, but in the same sense, unless something changes, I want this place to grow because it's a great community, but in the same sense, the student numbers are not increasing yet. So that's a concern in my head.
And that affects your funding.
Affects my funding. It also, because we tried to increase the numbers by being an overflow school, that also affects the community, because you have people coming in for maybe 4 months, maybe for a year, and then they leave. It's an interesting situation as far as that goes.
Do you know what your percentage of free and reduced lunch is?
I had to write that down for my VH1 Safety Music.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
I won't hold you to it. Okay.
I appreciate that.
Okay. I was just curious, but it's a good chunk, I'm sure.
It is a decent chunk. That's for sure.
All right. So, what have you found? I know that, like the rest of us, you have gone in where there was no music program to begin with, and you are building from the ground up. So, tell me about changing the culture of your school. How are things different than when you first walked in the door to your first group of kids?
So, Casillas had an introduction to music. Maya Diaz was actually at my school site, only teaching third grade. I forget, was that Opus, was it? Or was that like SDYS?
Yeah, I think it was Opus.
Okay, so yeah, she was at my school site for 1 year just for third grade. And so they've had music there. Also, one of our former first grade teachers, when she first started at the inception of Casillas back in 1998, she was the music teacher there initially. But it was it's a very different aspect. It was more so just the philosophy was very different.
And so you said Opus was there, Maya, right?
Maya Diaz? Yes. Or Maya Aquino at the time, but yeah.
Oh, wow.
So some students actually still remember her. Still left that impact. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, how have things changed? How have you noticed the culture begin to shift as you've been building a full-time music program for the first time, that the school has had a full-time music person?
I don't think it's shifted so much as far as the staff goes. The staff have been hugely supportive, which I'm deeply appreciative of. One thing for sure, I think there's an understanding of expectation, understanding of trust that's been developed over the past 4 years. Like in the previous episode, Marc was talking about how the older students, they were there when Marc was part-time, and it was different now that he's full-time. And similarly over here, these students that are sixth graders currently, they've only had me since they were in third grade, as opposed to the fourth graders that have me since first grade. So the expectation, understanding, and the love for music is definitely much more predominant with those who have been with me since the beginning, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Well, absolutely.
Okay. Kind of want to jump in because when I was at your school, Casillas, for the collaborative concert, and I hope we talk about that a little bit more.
I'm sure we will.
Definitely.
That was one of the things that I noticed was the trust amongst your staff. I remember we were setting up before, and it was the last week before we all went on spring break. So very tired teacher feel on campus, but you had worked it out with every, I don't know how many classrooms, maybe 10?
There were 11 schools, so 10 classes.
10 classrooms. Yes. So you had worked it out with all those classroom teachers to ask them for us to use their classrooms after hours, and I really don't think that without that trust you would have been able to do that. So
very much so. It wasn't so much an uphill battle to gain it, though. I think that's just a testament to the community of Casillas. Maybe it's a testament to what I've done. I don't know.
And you, exactly.
They like you.
I mean, I know they like me. It was never an uphill battle. Maybe it's just the work I've placed into it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
They definitely saw what you are adding to their community was something really special. And, even though they weren't necessarily there for the concert, they were okay, me doing this one thing will help you realize that.
And I look online sometimes with the groups saying, the staff don't show up
on Facebook, the music teacher support groups on Facebook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I want to empathize, but in the same sense, I'm really really happy the fact that I have a lot of staff that like a good portion of the staff was at that
That's
collaborative
right.
concert.
They were. Yeah. And your principal's
there as well. Yeah.
So we're getting into development here.
Okay.
So I do want to come back to the collaborative concert, and we'll get there. But you've had a couple of things happen that not all of us can relate to. So let's talk about that a little bit. You have your choir.
Yes.
So first of all, tell me about your choir and how you've built that.
Okay. First off, I guess that goes back to, I don't know, my first, I guess I started initially. As when I was growing up with music. Start with a band. It wasn't until actually my last year in high school that I jumped into choir. But I feel like despite the fact that I have such a longer history of band, choir has stuck with me much longer.
Okay.
And so when
What's your instrument? What's your band instrument?
My band instrument. In 4th grade, I picked up the flute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did flute, and then I left the flute, and I picked it up again. A flautist or flutist, depending on what language, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I live with it. I'm gonna move on.
We'll probably get emailed about it. So yeah.
Or a fluter, as
You
I
guys
like to
can
throw
tell
at people.
us. A fluter.
A fluter, yeah.
Even better.
Just to annoy people.
You never get fluty?
Fluty, never heard of that. No.
Oh,
Is
thanks
that
for starting that, though, Zoe. I
That
appreciate
was the
that.
thing where I grew up. The fluty.
Fluty.
Never heard that.
Is that like a positive statement, or it's just a negative, or just is?
I don't know, John. Do you want to be a fluty?
No.
Okay.
I'm moving on from that statement. So yeah, it wasn't. I did band from 7th grade all the way to the end of high school.
Okay.
I loved it.
Did you march?
I did not march. I actually went
You
to a
did
performing
not.
arts school that had no sports.
Okay.
So no marching band.
No need for marching band.
And that really affected my perception of band as well. It had to be very much it was almost choral-like actually, because it didn't have that like militaristic aspect of marching band. The concert band really just had a sense of where is the emotion, push it. My band director was amazing.
Yeah.
She was
How
phenomenal.
so? Tell me.
She had the fire of 4 gods.
What was her name?
Her name is Tamara Paige. She taught at SCPA. She left for a little bit.
That is San Diego School of Creative and Performing Arts.
Yes. She left for a bit, and now she's back.
Okay.
This is her first year, full-time year back. And she just is such a passionate woman. I don't want to say I aspire to have her. She is her own person, but she has such a drive that even if you want to play better, just because she pushes her kids that much.
Do you have a specific memory of her
Oh gosh,
pushing you to be better?
Like, I don't know, there's not one isolated moment. It was constantly just when she conducted, there was passion is the only way to put it. And I feel like it's like an overrated word, but it's also an important word. Like, as she conducts, it's not just keeping the beat. It is very much just like, I remember one time she just drops it, like, I'm not moving my arms just for you to play like that.
But you wanted to be better.
You want to be better. You want to be better. At least for me. Also, I just want to be better in general. But she would turn sometimes the scum of the earth into great musicians. And yeah, there's really, and people didn't pursue music afterwards, but still she placed that fire in them nonetheless, even after they left. And I think that's one thing I try to take away from, as a music educator. I don't expect my students to become great musicians by any means necessarily. If they do, great. But I want them to have whatever, I want to at least transfer, I guess, the passion of music or the passion of just humanity into them. And that's kind of what Tamara Paige did.
Yeah.
So
That's
anyways,
really cool.
Yeah.
What's your first memory of having music in school?
4th grade, I chose the flute because someone said it's because it's just like playing the piano. And as far as concert pitch goes, yes. That's about it. In my opinion.
That's an interesting thing to say.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I don't know. I was a 3rd grader just listening and just, oh, okay. And I chose the flute, and I just couldn't make a sound out of it. I just couldn't. And
That's not easy.
It's not easy, no. And as a music educator now that I teach band, I understand being on the other side, how difficult it is to push kids and help encourage kids to play and such. And he was only there, I think, once a week. He jumped to different schools, pretty sure. And so by the time he was doing testing, and I had to play, it wasn't hot cross buns, it was something else. One of those other lightly row, I think it was. And I couldn't do it. And I left band. I dropped out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you rejoined in high school?
I rejoined middle school. Yeah.
Middle school.
7th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's when SCPA starts.
6th grade.
Okay.
It was a 6 through 12 school. Yeah.
Wow.
Small school.
Interesting. So when did you join choir?
So in 11th grade, I was doing AP Music Theory.
Okay.
Because I'm a nerd and I love it. And my advanced choir was losing all their basses but one. And so they wanted to get people who knew how to read music. That was more important. Plus it's bass. It's just 1/5 pretty much. But the advanced choir was looking for basses. So they asked all the students in AP Music Theory to audition. And the thing was, I was apprehensive about voice for a while. But in 2010, when I was in 10th grade, I joined a band with my brother and some friends, just a little small rock band. And that helped encourage me to sing, because I sing backup for that. And so when I took music theory, and then I was asked to join choir, I was like, you know what? I'll try it out. Like, again, earlier I had these apprehensions, but I'll try this. And I fell in love with it. And it was the advanced group. We toured in Boston, won sweepstakes. And and so I just really enjoyed singing after that. In college then, I joined our chamber choir, and the band was just at a bad time for me, so I didn't play my first year. My second year I tried getting into it, but it was just, I lost interest, at the time at least. So choir became my forte, and then I transferred. And so when I came to Casillas, going back to the original question.
Yes.
When I went to Casillas, they asked me what my strengths are. And so I said choir. The principal says, awesome, we want you to create a choir then. And so the principal was very, she had a vision. She was only there for 1 year, funny thing. But she had a vision. And so I created 3 choirs.
Okay.
Grades 1, 2, grades 3, 4, grades 5, 6 choir. And that was a learning experience. I think, being a first year teacher was a learning experience overall. But creating, I had to change that the next year. I decided to change it to just lower grade and upper grade. But
so the Casillas choir is kind of famous now.
They are famous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you've had some guests.
That's right. Can you tell us about those guests?
So I was talking with Lauren, and she found out that I'm a huge fanboy over 2 things.
Pause. Lauren is our visual and performing arts coordinator at the district office. Continue.
Thank you for clarifying. So she found out I was a fanboy of 2 things. 1, Nintendo. 2, Switchfoot. And so Switchfoot works really closely with the VH1 Save the Music Foundation. And since my school became a VH1 Save the Music school, they and also, like, I decided that same year to, for some reason, decide, you know what, I'm gonna have them learn a song off their new album, Float. And so Lauren said, you should record them singing. I did, and then they performed over at they came to Rogers Elementary, and they were
Switchfoot came.
Thank you. Switchfoot came to Rogers Elementary, and Lauren says, hey, come. And so, okay. And I thought it was just gonna be a handshake, and Lauren says, you should. And Lauren said, we were talking about maybe having some collaborative ideas, and immediately I start freaking out, because I met the guys at meet and greets like twice, and it's like, okay, I can be professional to some extent. But when
before you start fangirling.
yeah. And so the thing is, like, when she mentioned that, I lost all thought of what's going on. They come, I show them the video. We talk, and they say, yeah, we would love to have this, we would love to just surprise the kids. And so there's kind of I start talking to their management and also the people in charge of Bro-Am. Bro-Am's a event that Switchfoot holds every year at the beach, mixture of surfing and music. And so I was talking to the coordinator, and then in the April, or this is May actually, it was in May of 2016. They come and surprise my kids.
Wow.
My students, I'm surprised how they kept their repose during that whole session. And then after they're done singing, so they're singing in the middle of the song, or right where the bridge comes in, the group just walks and just kind of surprise and starts playing, their drums, their guitars, and all that jazz. Except it's not jazz, it's rock. But and after they're done, one of my students just starts crying.
Aww.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh my gosh!" And so they invite all my sixth graders that are getting promoted to sing on stage with them.
Oh.
And so that summer was a busy summer for the best of reasons. Not just did we perform at the Bro-Am, we also performed at an airport event, so that I was able to pull in some 4th grade, 5th graders as well to have them be a part of it, as well as the promotional event as well. But the cool thing during the Bro-Am, walking on stage, and then I see thousands.
Wow.
Maybe tens of thousands, I'm not sure. Well, at least streaming online, definitely tens of thousands. It's like, oh my gosh.
It's a huge event.
It's a huge event, yeah. And if I'm feeling this way, I can't imagine how my kids are feeling this way. Mind you, I'm, again, a fanboy. But I was definitely, oh my gosh, this is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did it affect your choir as far as growth or retention or excitement? What do you want to say about that? Did it at all?
There was definitely a spike of people who came. Of interest. And then also, of course, just as they realize, oh, we're not going to Bro-Am this year.
Yeah. This isn't like a yearly thing.
Exactly. That's another thing also. I have my choirs work throughout the entire year. Okay. And the students, my school is a very sports-heavy school. They're used to seasons. They're used to, football plays in the winter. Basketball's in the spring, soccer's in the summer, and they're used to that.
Choir never ends. Band never ends, and like the attrition definitely accrues over time. And so, because of that, because of excitement, because of X, Y, Z, because of kid drama, all that jazz, like there are people who left, but like there was definitely a bigger interest, but also I think maybe that's where the trust also kicked in, not just from the students, but also from the staff as well. Like Mr. Seligman's legit.
This is not just we sing along and like just do music on the side. We're aiming towards something. We're trying. We have a goal in mind, and so maybe that's where the trust. I don't know.
That's really neat. So let's get into crescendo here.
Okay.
A new section.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this in past episodes, so I thought we might as well make it official. Give me something. Give me a good kid story. Do you think of a particular little face and story was something that has left an impression on you as an educator, somebody that you've seen changed through your music program?
I don't think it's limited to one situation, but one thing that I love is when my former students come in during choir and just sit in. They just sit in and they don't sing along necessarily, but they understand this is a safe space. It's a space that can just be. Sometimes after rehearsal, they just chat with me. They help me clean up sometimes. These are former students that could be, on TikTok making videos or etc., but they're just there. And again, I mentioned this earlier, I really try to, I would love if they could continue music. I recognize that's not going to happen necessarily, but the fact that they're affected by it, the fact they're affected by the community that was built at the music program at Casillas just reminds me of all the good that I'm doing. I'm doing something here. And it's easy, like as the year rolls along, like to just be drawn, especially during right now it's May and testing. It's April. It's not even May yet. Oh my gosh. But testing,
2 more days.
Yeah, 2 more days. But like testing season has occurred. Students are just drained. It's the first day of testing season for 6th graders only, and they are drained. And I am drained in part as well, like because trying to get my students to sing, to be a part and to express themselves, it's difficult during the season, and it's easy for me to just wonder, what am I doing? And having kids come back, having kids just chat, having kids just understand what this space was, it's uplifting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really neat. So, what does a successful music program look like to you? How do you define success?
Well, Webster's. I always love it when people bring that in speeches. Why Webster's? Oxford English. Come on. What is a successful program? I think I've hit on it several times already in this little trilogue. I don't know what you call this.
Big word.
I'm just throwing Greek together.
Mr. Oxford.
I love words.
Yep.
I love words. They're so good. Yeah, one of the things I mentioned several times today is really just a successful music program. It's not so much skill, though that's important. And it's not so much happy faces, even though that's important too. Are the 8 kids able to feel safe enough to express themselves? And you know what? One of the things so this year right now, my students are working on a piece called Saturn by Sleeping at Last. And recently one of our 6th grade teachers passed away. And that was really hard for kids. And what was fascinating, we had psychologists on site.
Because it happened after the school year started.
During the school year, yes. And so we had psychologists on site for any student who wants to talk, or even teachers who want to talk. None of the kids in that class went. And this cohort is very resilient, but they have a difficulty of expressing themselves in healthy ways. I don't know, 6th graders. But I decided, you know what, this piece is important for the kids to sing. It's a very heavy piece. But it's an important piece nonetheless. And so I don't try to lighten the blows. And I'm hoping that as they sing the song, actually, no, I've heard this actually. As we started singing the song, one of the 5th graders said, you know what? And she was crying at the end because she was, the words pertain to the situation, but she was crying at the end. It says it's a crying of healing, I feel like. And if the students are able to express themselves during this time of development and have the freedom to express themselves, then maybe that's success.
That's
maybe
powerful.
That is powerful. Wow. Thanks, John. Thanks for telling your story.
Of course.
I'm excited to see where Casillas goes. We were talking in between before we hit the record button, and you were saying, we've been saying all along that it takes 5 years to really shift a culture, and next year is going to be year 5 for you, full time at your site, and I'm excited to see it.
It's really so my goal has always been like, I want to stay at Casillas at least until my kindergartners get promoted to 7th grade. They're 3rd graders right now. And it's really interesting to see the shift. Like 6th graders, where they're at, 5th graders are more have bought into music more. 4th graders hugely sold. 3rd graders, they're not 4th graders yet. The cognitive ability there is not fully there yet, but they understand the culture.
Well, yeah. They just think music class is what you do.
It's what you do.
Yeah. There's no question.
They came to school understanding this is
They've
what
been in the soup.
There's a woman
the whole time. Yeah. Yeah, that's exciting. Well, again, thank you.
Of course.
Thanks, John.
I think we're going to end on our spiccato round. Do you have some questions? I have a couple. Marc isn't here today, and he's been leading the last couple, but I have a couple in mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, shall we?
Let's commence.
You want me like this?
Yeah. Here we go. Spiccato. Curtains or blinds?
Curtains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna say.
One of these days, John's going to understand spiccato.
No, I understand it. It doesn't mean I align with it. I understand it cognitively. I guess also I come like right now. I'm having a huge issue. We moved our TV at my house, and like the TV it's perfectly placed except for the fact that the sunlight's exposing to it. We have blinds that just are not doing it. So
curtains.
Makeshift curtains.
I like curtains because they're so decorative.
They look good. That's true.
They do. They look good. They're pretty.
I'm sold. Curtains.
Yeah, the ones that are hanging right behind our heads. It took 5 tries to get these right, so I hope you appreciate them.
Yep.
Okay.
They're pretty.
Thanks, Zoe. Okay. Anyway. Okay, let's talk vacations. Vacation or trip, because there is a difference.
Could you expound?
Okay, vacation is you chill. You got a drink in your hand, you're lounging by the pool. Trip, you see all the sights. Would you rather take a vacation or a trip?
Trip.
Vacation.
Vacation all the way.
I need vacations. I love trips. But my last trip, I'm just so drained. I need a vacation.
There you go. I need a vacation to recover from my vacation. Okay, right. Okay. Beach or forest?
Forest.
Interesting, San Diego girl. Forest. Really?
Yes.
Okay, beach all the way.
I went to Point Loma and yet forest. I love mountains.
Fascinating. I do appreciate the mountains. I think they're beautiful.
That's another round we could do.
Yeah, that's true. I love that. I hear you. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's go jazz or rock.
Aren't they like just siblings, or rather it's...
No, you have to pick.
I'm choosing rock. Can I do folk? Can I just choose part 3?
No, there's no
rock.
There's no third option here.
Jazz.
Okay, good. Okay, guys, this one's for real. Pasta or pizza?
Pizza.
I'm gonna choose pizza.
Yeah, same. Okay.
Pasta is like, versatile, but in the end,
it's just pasta unless it's homemade in Italy.
Yeah.
I had Italian pasta in Switzerland, and the guy refused to speak to us in French. It was only Italian. It's like, okay, broski, whatever. Anywho.
Good story, John. Okay. Okay, so John is bringing us our song of the week. Round of the week.
Song of the week is Mr. Moon. It's and also mixed in with The Battered Elm. So they're 2 different songs, kind of like a partner song, I guess. And I had my choir sing it sang it last year for our collaborative concert. That was the first time we had a collaborative concert. Stay tuned. We'll talk more about that another time. So, Mr. Moon. Mr.
All right.
Pitch. Mr.
I like it.
Mr.
Moon, you're out too soon. The sun is still in the sky. Go back to your bed and cover up your head and wait till the day goes by. From out the battered elm tree, the owl cries out, "Who's there?" And from the distant forest, the cuckoo answers clear. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo.
Mr. Moon, you're out too soon. The sun is still in the sky. Go back to your bed and cover up your head and wait till the day goes by. From out the battered elm tree, the owl cries out, "Who's there?"
Go back to your bed and cover up your head and wait till the day goes by. From out the battered elm tree, the owl cries out, "Who's there?" And from the distant chorus, and wait till the day goes by.
From out the battered elm tree, the owl cries out, "Who's there?" And from the distant chorus, the cuckoo answers clear. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo.
Thanks for listening, you guys. Have a wonderful week making music.
And Crystal, where can we find you?
I always do that. You can find me on Twitter at FinnyVapa, FINNEYVAPA, or at www.crystalpridmore.com.
You can find me at Twitter at Mr. Seligman. That's MrSeligman.
I'm on Twitter at Ms. Kumagai at MSKUMAGAI.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. The Chaotic Harmony podcast is a joint project between Crystal Pridmore, Jonathan Seligman, Zoe Kumagai, and Marc Keehmer. You can find us online at chaoticharmonyclassroom.com. You can email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Give us feedback about what you would like to hear in future episodes. We're on all the socials. Find us on facebook.com/chaoticharmonyclassroom. You can find us on Twitter at @CHClassroom, Instagram at Chaotic Harmony Classroom, and you can even find our episodes on YouTube. Chaotic Harmony is the name of our channel. Special thanks to Brian Pridmore for his help with production and equipment. www.pridmoria.com.